encouraging positive social interaction and promoting a passion for the Dean. We encourage people who have not become a member of MICA to do so. I will share the link in the chat box shortly. And we also recommend that if you're, quite active on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel at MICA Nigeria Lagos and follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at MICA Nigeria. Please be informed that today's meeting is also being live streamed on YouTube. So just a bit of a heads up on that. For those who have just joined us, today's sort of discussion is entitled On the Japa Trail. And essentially, it's just an opportunity for us to hear from, individuals in the diaspora who have now settled in a country other than Nigeria. And I believe we also have someone who migrated to Nigeria from Uganda. So that would be a very interesting perspective as well. And the idea is just that for anyone who's on this call, for example, that wants to travel out, this is an opportunity for you to maybe connect with a few people and to hear what their experiences are like. Japa, as we call it, is not necessarily for everyone, and for other people, it's been life-changing. So it's not to say that, again, it's the be and end all, but it's just to create a safe space where we can have some of these conversations. And the structure of today's talk will be similar to what we've had in the past, where we have a panel. We've got amazing individuals lined up. We've got about 8 people, so it'll be very insightful, and I'll be posing questions. So the first group of individuals I will start with would be, what we're terming the recent migrants. And I have a couple of questions that I would like to ask you. So the first person I will start with, if you do not mind, and I think she's on this call, is Farida. And could I also ask all the panelists to kindly turn on their videos, please, if you're in an environment that allows you to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sister Bilkis. I'm calling on all panelists to kindly turn on your videos, please. And Farida, I would like to start with you, please. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Farida, I'll ask the question, and then before you answer, could you just a sentence about where you are and what you do, and just so it puts everything into perspective for our audience. So the first question for you, Farida, is what challenges are faced by migrants all over the world? All over the world in your experience as a migrant, someone who left Nigeria to go to another country?
Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Farida. Assalamu alaikum. I am currently in Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is in Canada. I've been here since 2016, and I came here as a student for university. One of the challenges that I faced when I came back as a migrant, when I came here, was, I want to say culture shock, because I feel like that's one of the very big things that you face when you come to a different country, because it's different from all the customs and things that you're used to. I think for me, the most glaring one was the cold. It was so cold when I came here. It was minus 40 degrees or something like that. And everywhere was filled with snow. I was like, what is this? Where have my parents brought me to? What am I gonna do? And I remember the first week that I came here, I think I had a class at university, and there was a blizzard or something. And I had a little bit of frostbite on my hands. I can never forget that story. Everybody still laughs at me when I tell it, because my hands were frozen. And when I came, I had to turn back home. I couldn't even make it. And I only walked outside for 5 minutes. And my stupid self, I thought that, the best thing I can do is put my hands under hot water. Please don't do that ever. It was the worst decision ever, because it made it 10 times worse. But aside from that, I think another challenge that people face is that when you come to a new country, you don't know, you have to figure out a lot of things, like little details, like you need to get a new phone, you need to do like banking stuff. You just feel like there's so many things to go over, and it's much better when you have like somebody that already knows everything, right? So for me, I was lucky enough to have some family here, and they helped me like with getting a new phone, going to the bank. But like at first, it seems very overwhelming. So I think that's one challenge. And you're mixed with like different cultures, different set of people everywhere. So it's hard to sort of like integrate at first, because at first you're like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of information. This is new. And you're like, oof. And then coming as a student as well, like I had to figure out a lot of like school stuff, like where are my classes, like what courses am I taking, like those little things. But I think one thing that I utilized the most was like asking questions and like going to like the designated places that they help like new people that come here. So I just went there and I just asked questions, and I had people show me around, like I went to orientation and stuff. So for me, that was like a big challenge. I don't think I faced too many, because thankfully I had family here, so I didn't have to face a lot of challenges that I know that other people face. I currently work at Needs Center, which is like for newcomers employment and education development services. So at our agency, we help immigrants and refugees that come to Canada in terms of like settlement. So we help them sort of like integrate into life in Canada in areas such as like education and employment. So for example, like for the kids, like we have kids from like let's say 6 to 21. So when they first come here, most of them are like refugees. For example, like we have a lot of people coming from Ukraine right now. So we help the kids when they first come here with something called an intro program. So we help them sort of like understand how the education system is in Canada first, and like help them sort of like break the ice, because it's very overwhelming for them when they first come. Like most of them can't speak English. They can't, English is like a big barrier. So we try to like help them with like interpreters, like try to explain stuff for them. Thankfully, like kids, like they learn like pretty fast. And for like the older children, like we help them with employment stuff. So like career coaching, building your resume, stuff like that. So I know that one of the big challenges that they face when they come is the language. The culture shock is also really huge. But thankfully, like in Canada, there's a lot of settlement services that help them make the process a little bit easier. I hope I've answered your questions.
You have. Thank you so much. And thank you for the heads up about not putting really cold hands in hot water. It's a principle that I think I even forgot. Like once I had like snow on my car, and the first thing I wanted to do was pour hot water on it. And I'm lucky I didn't, because my uncle said if I did, I would have shattered the glass. So don't pour hot things on super cold stuff, everyone. Thank you so much, Farida. Right, the next person I'd like to call upon is, one sec, I've got a very big group today, mashallah. Tosin Onikola.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome, please.
I don't know if you heard what I said to Farida, but I'm going to pose the same question to you. And before you answer, could you kindly just give us 2 sentences about who you are, where you are, and perhaps what you do? My question to you as well, similarly, is what challenges are faced by migrants all over the world? You can choose to personalize this or talk about it generally.
All right, thank you. Tosin Nicola. I'm into a lot of stuff, but I just rather say I'm a mental health advocate. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm a mental health advocate. I'm currently in Delaware, that's United States of America anyways. So currently I volunteer with the Islamic Society of Delaware. So as a mental health advocate over here. So part of what we do is, so we are into like the da'wah session, the da'wah mission about this. So I work with families mostly. So
Mhm.
people who maybe have issues, and families when they have issues, so that's why I probably like come in. So try
Okay.
to help them and, give some sort of Islamic counseling along that
Mhm.
line as well too. So, but I mean to other stuff, but I'd rather just limit it to this so I don't bore hospital what we do.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So as regards come again with the question, please.
Oh yeah, sure. What do you think what are the challenges faced by migrants all over the world? And you can choose to
Oh
personalize
yeah.
or talk about it generally. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing is I'd say is now if I want to talk from my own perspective,
Mhm.
I've been to several countries, like lived in several countries, from Ghana to India to the UK, then to the US. I pretty much say the major challenge that people face is actually moving into that's the culture shock. So you're going into a new environment.
Yeah.
So there's this fear that comes behind it. Now you're traveling, you're migrating, you're moving. So there's a big fear that comes with, are you going to succeed where you are? So then it depends on where you're going to, and then what are the plans that you've had in place. So the first speaker, Farida, well, big ups to her. So she talked. I think it's pretty much easier when you move like a student. So that way, it's pretty much easier. You settle down on time. You don't have too much to worry about. It's more like structured. How do I put it? So your chart or your course is structured already, so you know what you're doing. So you know where you're going. You know how you're gonna run your course for perhaps the next 4 years, and you're gonna be restricted most times, perhaps within the confines of university walls. So if so you might be lucky not to experience a whole lot of culture challenges because you'll definitely be with a lot of other migrants and people from all over the world. So people of your type are actually there. So as a student, when I migrated as a student, yeah, it was pretty much easy. I had time, I had, all of that. But then that was like the first phase. So the challenge I had when I was a student, not married, I just moved in wasn't really much because being young, you could just, easily interact with anyone. You could do whatever it is that you wanted to do. So culture shock
Yeah.
wasn't really much of a big thing, at the time. But then moving in with kids and then migrating with kids and then, a family is a different ballgame entirely. So because a whole lot of things for you to think about. So you have to think about the children. You have to think about the spouse. You have to think entirely about the family. So this is not, something that you just want to put on your head and you say, yeah, let's just go there. If you understand what I mean. So you're going to get a whole lot of, how do I put challenges from here and there. So major challenge that you're definitely going to get is settling down. That has to do with work, has to do with finding a good job for yourself, has to do with finding an ideal school for your children, finding an ideal home for your family. So all these things we take for granted like that. But I think what made it easier for me moving out to the United States was because I lived in the UK before. I moved down here, so moved in other places. So it was pretty much a bit easier for me to come down right here. Then I'd say another thing is yeah, the culture itself. So you're moving down there now. This is something that is different everywhere I've lived. There is no two country that had similar culture. So you cannot use the experience of how you relate with a particular people with another type of people. So, for instance, you go to the UK, you find that there are people who are extremely conservative and reserved. It's probably not the same in the US. You understand? These are people who are much more outspoken, and the way they are. So that's one of the things there. Or you find that you're in your workplace and then you have colleagues who have different orientation from yourself. This is something that is, I think, was the greatest for me. So far, I remember at work when I was working, and the first time my colleague was like, "Oh, yeah, she's a lady," and she was like, "My wife is going to come around." It was like I never heard what she said. So she said, "My wife is coming to pick me right now," and I'm like, "Your wife?" Like I didn't get that. Okay. I had to process for a few minutes, and Thank God I didn't say anything. So I was like, oh. So you're going to get to hear some of these things. Your children will get exposed to some of these things. They'll come back home, ask you some sort of questions that, you need to answer. So all of these, from the religious perspective to environmental perspective, you definitely would have, a bit of challenge around that line. But alhamdulillah, pretty much good. There are ways to actually navigate all of these things, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Brother Tosin. Everyone, I'm going to prefix your name with sister and brother, just, out of respect. I'm sorry if I've offended anyone because I didn't start off doing that. So yeah, thank you very much, Brother Tosin. So thank you to everyone again who's joined. Thank you to our speakers. It's a panel, so it might take a while for all our speakers to speak. So thank you all for your patience. Just as a reminder, we're just going through getting answers from some of the more recent migrants, and then we'll talk to some of our more settled migrants. So thank you all for your patience. So next I'll be calling on Sister Muinat.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Muinat. Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, without repeating myself, I will ask you the question and then kindly introduce yourself before answering. So what challenges are faced by migrants all over the world, or from your personal perspective?
Okay, I am currently in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada as well. I came in November last year, as a permanent resident with my family. I have a daughter, and I'm a content creator / entrepreneur, but I'm more of a content creator now. I have a YouTube channel, and on my channel, I share everything about my life, especially now as a new immigrant, on settling in. I give tips and I just share like everything about my settling in journey. So about the challenges, I'm going to talk about it from my perspective.
Sorry for interrupting. Do you want to drop your YouTube channel? Let's get those subscribers up.
Okay, the name of my YouTube channel is Omo Aribidesi.
Sis, you might have to spell that for me.
Yeah.
OMOARIBEDESI.
Sorry, B-I-R-E-B. Yes, B-I-D-E-S-I.
Okay,
yes,
fantastic.
yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead, sis.
Yes. So I'm going to talk about the challenges from my perspective, my personal experience, and from what I've been hearing from other people. I would say, because I believe so much in planning and preparation, before coming, myself and my family and my husband, we've done so many research about coming to Canada, especially coming to Winnipeg, Manitoba. So in as much as I experienced some challenges, I had already prepared my mind, like mentally, I prepared myself for some of these challenges. So it kind of gave me like a shock absorber in terms of how I felt them. Obviously, the number one thing is the weather, because I came around winter, like beginning of winter, and it was pretty cold, although it wasn't -40, but I still came, the cold was still very much for me, coming from where we're coming from back in Nigeria. And because I had mentally prepared myself, I didn't allow it to get to me too much. I was able to acclimatize myself. Not like I loved it, but I was able to just get used to it. But it was still a challenge, especially when we needed to go out, not having a car, and you need to go shopping, you need to go do certain important things, and you can't just avoid the cold. You have to layer up every single time before you step out. So it took some getting used to. Now, the other challenge, which as well I had kind of prepared my mind for, is childcare / getting a job. So I have a toddler, and we came when she was about, I think, 18 months. So I knew it's either I found a daycare for her, or I stay with her at home while my husband gets a job. In as much as I knew that there was a possibility that I needed to find a daycare for her, or I had to stay at home with her, with whichever one, I still prepared myself for getting jobs. I tried to apply for jobs. I was focused on remote jobs, customer care jobs like, okay, let me just do something. And over time, I'll find my footing. And the mindset I had about customer care job is, oh, it's work at home. If you get a work at home job, you can do anything, you can flex, you can still take care of your child. But in trying to look for these jobs, I started seeing their requirements, and they were very specific about, they need a place that is very quiet. Sometimes they give you hints, though they won't specify that, oh, don't have a child, but they'll give you hints that, oh, you shouldn't have something or someone you're taking care of, or they want the place to be very quiet. So I started realizing that this was going to be an issue. And I was coming with a toddler who is like very clingy, who wants me 24/7. So I started finding out, okay, let's find out about daycare. On finding out about daycare, I realized that I don't know about other provinces, but in Winnipeg, daycare is no joke. Like, I almost got a job, and I tried to like make inquiry about a daycare very close to me. Like, it was a very nice daycare. I'm like, okay, let me just ask. The very first thing they asked me was, oh, do you have an appointment? I'm like, no, I just came here and I just want to find out, if you guys have any opening. And they told me waiting list is closed, and they usually have waiting list for as long as 4 years. So I don't know, maybe when I'm about to get married, I should start applying for a daycare, or maybe when I'm pregnant. So there are some daycares, like if you want a proper daycare, like a school setting daycare, you need to start thinking of when you're pregnant, when you get married, you want to apply for a daycare. Yes, some daycares you have government subsidy, but it's not all daycares that you have to government. And because of there are not so much daycares, everybody wants to work. You have to like be struggling. You'll be waiting till they call you. You have to wait for them to call you. And people end up resorting to home daycares. Some people don't even mind, using unlicensed care providers. But, that's now at your own risk. Whatever comes with it, you have to just bear it. So I had to start, my husband and I, we had to start, we had to think about it and make some sacrifices. And I realized that for now, while I'm still trying to find a solution in terms of this daycare, I'm just going to have to be with her and find other things I can do to improve myself while I'm able to get a daycare. So I think that has been the issue, because, you want to come here and do something, you want to start out your career, and you need to focus on your child. But, why is not, I don't bother so much about it, because at the end of the day, she's my child, and I have to still do my duty as a mother. So I just find solace in that it's a good sacrifice, and there is no first comer or late comer when it comes to success. The most important thing is my husband has a job. We're able to kind of sustain ourselves with that, and I'm good with that. I think that's pretty much my own personal challenge. I think for others, it's usually just trying to find their footing, the culture shock, getting jobs, especially people have difficulties getting jobs of their choice. Like, you leave your home country as a manager, or you have a particular role as from your home country, and you want that role. You don't want to do like any low-level role. You don't want to do menial jobs or survival jobs. So it's usually a challenge for lots of people when they find themselves having to do those jobs, pending the time they get their jobs. It kind of, because of the expectation they've set for themselves, it kind of just makes them very, very disappointed. And, it's usually the challenge that I hear that people have in terms of getting a job, settling in, getting accommodation, and all those things. So I think that's all I have for challenges.
Thank you very much, Sister Muina. I feel like a common thread between all three of you. So Sister Frida, and Brother Tosin, and Sister Muina is the culture shock. So that's a very interesting one. Thank you so much for your perspective and the advice you gave as well to people who want to become mothers or on their way to being mothers or already mothers. Thank you so much for that. So next we'll be calling on Brother Tawfiq. Assalamu alaikum, are you there? Brother Tawfiq Ajibola. Okay, I know you're there because your video is on. Oh, it's
His wife. So I
Can you
think.
hear me? Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, Brother Taufik went to the masjid. I'm his wife. My name
Okay,
is
assalamu alaikum.
Salam. My name is Ganiya.
Okay,
Um,
alaikum sister.
okay, I will just say a little about myself, and my husband is in his absence. I'm going to talk about what he does. So my name is Ganiya. My husband is Taufik. We moved here. It's almost close to 9 years. We live in UAE, and it's been almost 9 years that we've been here. My husband is a civil engineer. He works here as an expatriate here. But I think along the line, for he, there's no, you know, we are in UAE, it's a Muslim country, quite all right. It's a little bit different from other Western countries. But I think majorly for him, for the kind of job he does, there's something that the language barrier was there, because when you're working as an engineer here, you're going to be dealing with the government, you'll be doing some documentation and all. So if you don't, you need to understand Arabic to an extent to be able to work. So at the point, it was kind of a challenge, but along the line, he was able to, like, you know, even you just have to learn the simplest, like the conversational Arabic, to be able to converse, like to be able to like talk, or there are places that you need to go to as for the kind of job he's doing. So that was one of the major challenge for him. But along the line, I was able to navigate through, and everything, you know, starts getting better. Then another thing I think is you know, this workplace toxic environment. For me, when I was coming, I'm a chartered accountant. I was working in Nigeria in an oil and gas before I came here. So the expectation was high for me that, okay, when I get here, I should be able to get a job. For the fact that I have as an icon and I'm an accountant, should be, and I even worked with a multinational company before coming here. So I was 100% sure I'm going to get a job. So getting here, looking for a job, they tell you, oh, they don't really employ women, not even, let's say women, then black, because Indians are mostly those that work as an accountant here. So before you even, they will even tell you, go for interviews, but just realize that they won't call you back for, you know, after the interview, they won't call you back for any job. So it's how you get to know that, oh, because you are black, then you're a woman, they can't take you for the job they're actually looking for. So after several times, I wasn't getting a job. And of course, I love to do business. So now I started doing buying and selling. And alhamdulillah, I'm enjoying it. And I've done so much well in that line. So that is that for another challenge. Then another one I think is when it comes to school selection here, it's a lot of work. We have different nationalities with different schools, different curriculum. So if you're not very careful in terms of the curriculum you're choosing for your child, you might end up not liking what you like. If you don't have anyone to give you full information that you need to know to be able to put your child in a better school.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the Indian curriculum, we have the Philippine curriculum, we have the British, we have the American, there are different curriculums. So you need to be able to understand that part. And you know, if you don't even have someone, another challenge I think we faced also, not getting to know people, like before you get to meet people of the Muslim community, the Nigerian Muslim community, it took us a lot of time, because before you get to know them, they will be able to give you their own experience that they have in terms of the things that you need to know. So I think that is what, for me personally, that is what I think the challenge that we faced when we got here. But alhamdulillah, you know, along the line, start getting better, you start meeting people, you start meeting Muslims, Nigerian Muslims, having community, being friends with each other and all. So alhamdulillah, that's what I can say. I don't know if my husband has anything to say.
Oh, it's back. Perfect timing. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Taufik.
So he doesn't have anything to say. I think I've said all anyway.
Okay, thank you. Jazakallah, Sister Hania. You did an amazing job. Thank you. And Brother Taufik, thank you for joining us. All right, so thank you so much to our quote unquote, recent migrants. Thank you all. Because of time, I'm going to move on to like our second group of speakers who are the more settled migrants. But if there is time, I do have one more question for you, my amazing speakers. So please stick around. And if you don't mind, keep your videos on. And then like in the next 30 minutes as well, inshallah, we'll open the floor to everyone in the audience to ask any questions they might have for any one of you. So now I'm moving to my, more settled group. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and hello. So I think I want to start with, let me see who I want to start with. I would like to start with Sister Kamigisha. Are you here? Hello. So Sister Kamigisha.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Hi.
you. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. Thank you so much, Mariam.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really interested to hear about like sort of your journey. So I know from, my notes that you migrated from Uganda to Nigeria, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So like, I guess in 2-3 words or 2-3 sentences, how would you sum up that experience? And then my question for you is more around the perspective of giving advice. So what are the steps do you think that migrants can take to settle and become productive members of the society that they've now joined? If you can draw in from your years of experience and being a Ugandan migrant in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. My name is Kamigisha Harriet. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I live in Nigeria. Oh yeah, for those who have Japa, I Japa to Nigeria. the country you guys are living, that's where I came to. So I've been here for like close to 7 years. Yeah, I came in. I'm a filmmaker. I'm into filmmaking. Yeah. Wow. It's So the question is about the advice to give to people who settle in, if I can get that correctly.
Yeah. So what steps
can migrants about my experience? Yeah,
so you can try and merge the two, because I like it when people answer questions of like personal experiences. So it's just like, what steps do you think did you take, I guess, to settle into Nigeria to become, I guess, a more productive member of society? And what advice would you give to people that are about to embark on this journey or are currently in it, but are probably just a year, 2 years into the country?
Okay, thank you so much. So my first experience was, I think, the one that you would think, we are both Africans, this should be easy. You're going to another, you've watched these films on movies, you're seeing people and you're like, you can relate until you land at the airport and then you realize, oh, this is different from what I thought. So the first thing was the climate. Nigeria is a bit hotter compared to East Africa, that is Uganda. So for me, the heat was totally not for me. So I had to struggle with that for I've never gotten used to it up till now. Yeah, so then also the food, God, the pepe. I remember a few days into the country, I used to cry, like literally when I'm eating, especially if you went to Yoruba restaurants, that would have been a total blackout for you. And so I started learning that, you need to go to Igbo, they're a little bit, they're not so much into pepe like the way Yoruba is. Yeah, and then also the culture shock, that was different. Like I thought maybe, it's an African setting. Now, I'm going to give you an example. For example, when I was here, I think the first week, I remember trying to give somebody with the left hand or so, and so this woman, she slapped my hand and was like, you don't give me with the left hand. I'm like, what did I do wrong in my mind? In my mind, not knowing that here, left or right is a very big deal. You don't do that mistake. And so frequently I used to think, am I going to give? Because where I come from, it's not a big deal. Not that we don't think about it. It's not something you consciously think about. And so little things. And then you would think maybe being an African setting, it would be all easy for you. Most times when I went out to do like my shopping, immediately you spoke and they just noticed that you have an accent or that you're not speaking like Nigerian. They would literally start cheating you. And so I didn't know that part until I took my friend along, and she was like, "Oh man, you're spending a lot of money with taxis, with all these people." So it was really tough until I started blending in, blending in. So my advice for people who are settling in, the first thing you need to study. You need to research. Of course, your research will not give you all the total experience when you get there, the physical experience, but at least get to know where you're going to, their culture, what they are into, the food they eat before you leave for that country. Then the second thing is, I think this is one thing that people neglect a lot. People who travel to foreign countries, every country has its own immigration office, their own embassies.
Mhm.
And so for a few years, when I came in Nigeria, I stayed without registering. My embassy didn't know about me. They didn't know what I was doing here. And so after 3 to 4 years, I think I was in need of a passport or renewal of something. I had to start searching for my embassy. I had to travel to Abuja. And then I realized that the embassy has a safe place for all the foreigners from Uganda, where you can be on the channel, on the WhatsApp group. You can discuss if you have a problem. You can reach out to them, and then they can be able to help. And then you will be able also to meet your own people from your country. If you're
Yeah.
from Nigeria, you can meet Nigerians. If you're from Ghana, you can meet Ghanaians. And so for me, that is very important because most people stay in foreign countries and then for a very long time they will be there and the government doesn't know about their existence. Of course, you have the visa, but then if in case of any problem, your people from your nation need to know about you. In case there's any challenge, they'll need to come in. And so I would advise people when they enter into the country, locate where your embassy is. Let them know about your existence in that place. Register, make your presence known. And then from there, they will also help you to find communities where you can be able to do what know more about yourself and also help you to move around. Also learn, move, don't just sit in one place. One thing that helped me is I was into movie industry, so I was able to move around. I had a network of so many people, so I would ask questions. Yeah, what do you think about this? What is this? So people find it very tricky when they meet me and they're like, oh, have you been here like for 40 years? No, because I've been able to network with a lot of people. And then anytime I'm with these guys, I ask questions. I never get tired of asking. I mean, an Uber driver, oh, how long have you been here? How long have you been in Lagos? What do you think about Lagos? And so I ask questions. Ask questions. Don't be silent. Don't look like, oh, you know it all, and then you miss your way out. So those are the few things I would advise.
Thank you so much, Sister Kamigisha. I still have a few more questions for you, but because of time, I'm trying to give every speaker the opportunity to say something, so I might circle back to you. So please stay with us. Thank you so much. The next person I'd like to call upon is Sister Bilkis. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much, Sister Bilkis. I know you've been with us for a while, so thank you so much for your patience. It's great to have you. So like I've said to everyone, when I ask the question, can you please introduce yourself and tell us where you are from, what you do? So I want to ask you a different question. There are some similarities, but what can be done to make migration a more positive experience for all involved? So I guess, I don't know, it depends on what angle you want to take this from, but just some ideas, maybe this idea of, like, we have a lot of, like, I live in the UK, for example, and we have a lot of Nigerians that are now coming to the UK. So one thing I've noticed that some communities do is they have like regular meetups where if you've just come to the country, for example, you're able to, like during Eid, for example, like if you just come to the UK, you might not know where to go, where to pray. So there are certain pockets of communities that would do like Eid gatherings, etc., to make people feel more included. So again, my question for you is, what can be done to make migration a more positive experience for all involved?
Thank you for that question. I want to apologize in advance for background noise. My daughter thinks she's at a concert and she thinks she's the superstar there. So you might hear some noise and some guitar. Thank you. Bear with me, please. So I think that before you move for you to have a more positive experience in the diaspora, your work has to begin from home. So you can't come here and expect a better outcome. You've got to do some homework. I know that, and I'm very glad that we're having this conversation now, because so that this is not news to many people. Also, I wanted to thank all of the people who have spoken before me. All of your experiences and all of your talks have been very insightful and right on point. And I think we should form a WhatsApp group. You guys look like you know how to gist very well. So, and one of the things I'd like
You
to
haven't
say,
told us, I'm sorry to interrupt, although I might be able to work out from your accent where you
Yeah.
are.
Oh, sorry. So my accent is everywhere. So anyway, my name is Bilkis Williams. I'm a public health practitioner, and I'm a policy advisor in the Ontario Ministry of Health. So I now live in Canada, but I first came to Canada and then I went to the US and then I came back to Canada. But all that time I was a resident in Canada, but I did go to school in the US for a while because I was also an ambassador in the US for a while. So yeah. Also, I have a bit of a British accent because I was raised by a Briton. So my accent is everywhere. Don't mind my accent, it's fake. And I have a very good Nigerian accent too. So anyway, so one of the things you need to do, or we need to do, is therapy. Because what I've realized is that people come into the country with trauma. And so when they come here, they're exhibiting trauma responses, and that does not allow them to settle in really nicely. You cannot blame people for trauma. However, we're very lucky that the world is now more exposed and there's more facilities that enable you access to therapy. Or even just like, even if you're not able to afford a therapist, you can watch YouTube channels where you can relate with other people's experiences and be like, oh, I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy. You know, these thoughts that are going through my mind or my experiences are actually real. For example, when you start experiencing discrimination, you're not going to be like, is it just me? But then when you hear other people experiencing it, then you can realize that this is in fact true. And also there are resources in the country, wherever country that you are in, for like free therapy sessions, however short they may be. And that's the thing about what Kemgisha said. You need to connect with people so that you're able to access resources faster than most people would. So usually my own contribution also is that I personally make sure that I'm a focal point for people that come into the country. You should be that too. That's one way that we can make it better for people that come into the country. So it's a two-way street. It's something that they have to do on their end, and it's something that we have to do on our end. We have to be available to others as well, lend a helping hand, because what I've realized is that once I let people know, oh, you're going to do all of these things, you're going to encounter all of these things, but be rest assured that I'm here for you. So I'll pick you up at the airport, I'll take you to the bank, I'll do everything. And I know I'll always tell them it's going to feel rushed. It's going to be like, this auntie is too strict. Between 2 days, she's not even allowing me to rest. 8 a.m., we've gone to collect same number. This auntie does not have work. I mean, she does not have a purpose in life. But, you know, those things will eventually make it easier for you to settle in. And let's say, God forbid, like I was demised in the next week. I know that I can rest in peace because you'll be able to move around. You have a press card. You have resources at your fingertips. So that's one of the things. So therapy for yourself, therapy for your marriage, like if you have a partner, therapy, make sure that your kids are in good state. If you have autistic kids or kids with special needs, you've taken, no, that's not how to do it. You've taken care of those and you have resources and support. So don't think that because we're going to the abroad, the psychologist that my child used to use in Lagos or wherever you may be in the world is no longer useful.
Yeah.
Just keep in touch because, these people are experts for a reason. Also, what can I say? Learn a trade or a skill. Be flexible. If you were a doctor before coming here, and I'm going to say this because I'm a doctor, right? And I know the struggle that many professionals, especially in the health field, experience. I think someone else's mic is on.
I have muted. Apologies for that. Yeah.
No. I just wanted to be sure that everything was okay. So I live with background noise, so I'm not always bothered with background noise. Anyway, so that's some of the things I'd say you should do. Be flexible. You won't just come here and be a doctor. Okay, so there's going to be challenges. And if you're used to being called, Dr. Williams and everything, people are going to call you by your name. If you're a little older, yeah, I find that that's a really big challenge and struggle for Nigerian men, especially older Nigerian men, because they expect everybody to call them Mr. or brother or uncle. Nobody's going to call you brother. Like my daughter, she's going to be like, what's your name again? They're not even going to ask you that. Please, sir, I'm so sorry, sir. What's your name? They're just like, oh, what's that your name again? Like a child in my daughter's class was asking me, what's that your daughter's name again? Like a 4-year-old. I was like, she didn't even have the respect or like the manners to say like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot your daughter's name. She's like, what's that your daughter's name again? So these are the things, and you need to have a flexible mind. You need to have an open mind, because when I was a child, that would be considered really rude. But that's a child making conversation. That's a child with self-agency. That's a child with confidence. So you can't take that child into the bathroom and be like, let me see your pants. Because that child is like, Esther, are you all right? With respect, sir, you must be stupid, So that child is going to speak up for themselves. But these are things that where we come from, we were told that it was wrong to speak up for yourself. It was wrong to be confident. It was wrong to have self-agency. And that's why people have those traumas that they then need therapy for, to be able to assimilate into the system here. Because when someone says hi, you're like, oh, offer toast to me. Oh, God, But here, hi, everyone's going to say hi to you. And no one's going to approach you. There's no cat calls here. Like, okay, sure. No one cat calls you. So you can walk on the street and no one's going to be like, fine girl, can I get your number? No one's going to do that, so that gives you freedom. So no one's going to comment on your body. No one's going to be like, oh, Sister Bikis, you're looking so fine today. If they do that, like they're getting fired. And you're going to get compensation for it. So sometimes you now have new rights that you weren't used to in the past. And that feels like a whole new world. And I know that sometimes many of our men, they always say, oh, my wife, she used to be so docile when I was in Nigeria. She was very agreeable. She was very supportive and everything. And then once she came to Canada, like she became wild. She didn't become wild. She realized that she had rights that you didn't allow her to explore in the first place. And perhaps you should, check yourself. You should reevaluate. Do you need therapy? Have you been abusive? Are you a narcissist? So is this why she suddenly changed? Or does she need therapy as well? Because now people are saying hi to her, people are hugging her. But in the past, that used to be like grooming behavior for people who would then eventually molest her. So now she's reacting, and you think that you're the problem. It's not about you, it's about her. So it's a myriad of things, and everything is related. And because I'm a public health person, I always bring it back to that. Like everything is interconnected. Nothing is in isolation. So you need to be flexible. Again, you need to be willing to learn. You need to be aware of your environment. You need to be willing to form a support group. You need to be willing to connect to people. I know that it is a struggle. You got to kiss a few frogs before you find your Princess Charming or your Prince Charming, because it be your own people. Like Kemigisha said, I'm African, I'm just gonna blend in, and they're like, you pay more money for this taxi, when she was hoping that they would cater to her and protect her interest as a fellow African. So, many people make friends when they come here and they end up in trouble, or they end up being betrayed. And so that just like ruins it for them. They don't want to connect with other people. But, you that's one of the things I said, like your preparation starts before you come here. So you got to know what is original for you. So you need to know sources that you can, explore, or that you can trust as a resource. So let's say that your friend said, if you give me 1,000 now, you can become a citizen the next month. But if you know that, and for Canada, I'll just say that the gold standard is always the government website. Everything in Canada is easy. Just go to the government website and they speak simple English. They are not like Americans. Sorry. America will tell you one thing in a million ways, but it's never in clear language. But Canada will almost be like, number one, press your computer. Number two, type in your name. Number three, when you type your name, start with a capital letter. I'm serious. They will break it down literally for you. And there's YouTube channels like Sister Muinat's channel that you can follow that really give you a step-by-step. So trust the process, have your resources that you can trust and places where you can fact check news. So there's a fake news website where you can check whether news is original or whatever. Because when people give you wrong information, they also give you like links. They'll be like, oh, check it, it's there and everything. I know what I'm saying, but it's all a ruse. So you should have all these resources handy. You should have a support system, like someone with a good head on their shoulders. And that's, you know, when they're saying you should be a good husband, you should be a good daddy, this is the reason. Because some people are here, they can't call their parents and be like, Daddy, I have a question, I'd like some advice, because not everybody has, you know. So now those are the reasons. And, you know, as I said again, it's all connected. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Bilkis. What's your name again, young lady?
What's your name again?
What's your name?
Zara.
Zara. Nice to meet you, Zara. Assalamu alaikum.
It's
Thank
nice
you
to
for
meet
joining
you.
us.
What do you say? Assalamu alaikum. What do you say?
Thank you, Zara. Thank you, Sister Bilkis. Please stay just in case anyone in the audience has any questions for you later on. Thank you. All right, so the next person I'd like to call upon is Brother Shamsuddin Omuyu. I want to take it to the UK. We've not given UK any love. Yeah, so Brother Shamsuddin, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for joining us today. The question I have for you is kind of like a segue, and I think Sister Bilkis was touching on it in terms of what resources are available to help migrants settle in and integrate into a new country. So in your case, it would be the UK. And before you answer the question, please could you tell us a bit about yourself? I know I've given away where you are, but if there's anything else you want to add to your introduction. Thank you.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody, and thank you. I'm also equally enjoying the conversation, especially with my people from across the pond. That's from the Canada and the US. Very interesting. Thank you very much, everybody. Well, I can see there's a couple there. I should have actually requested that my wife should also be by my side to support me. And the reason is this. Since we came to the UK, we've been doing exactly what we've been discussing here. We've been helping people to settle down. When we hear someone has moved into our community, when we go to the shops, and we buy stuff, we buy one, get one free, we pick the free ones, we buy some things that we think they might need, we go and visit them, give them some shopping, and use the opportunity to give them advice. So we've really been doing this, and she's a lot more experienced when it comes to the educational side of things. So if we have any opportunity, I would like to give her an opportunity to contribute. So I've been in this country, in the UK, for over 20 years. I currently work with local authority, local government, and I'm also what you call repatriates or reparts, those who have come back to Nigeria to do, to establish something. So as you can see from my background, I also am the CEO of a company in Nigeria building estates. So, but I've not migrated back, I've not fully gone back to Nigeria. So I'm still here and I'm doing something in Nigeria as well. Okay, so migration is one of the most difficult things. Actually, moving home is said to be the most difficult thing after divorce. Now, moving home is from one city to another, one country, within the same country. Now, think of migrating from a country to another country is super, super hard and difficult. However, you have to set your expectation low. Don't have very high expectation. Set your expectation low. You are going to face so many challenges that you've got to be prepared for it. It requires a lot of preparation, my brothers, my sisters. It's not easy at all. It's never easy. process is not, I've seen people say, oh, positivity of the process. Yes, there will be positive, but you'll have more negative than positive, as all the panelists have been talking about. Even my brother that said, when you come in as a student, it's easy. It's easy because the university has support system. You've got the students' affairs or whatever. They will give you guidance to go here, go there, do this, do that. But it is still difficult. Especially students are usually lonely. They don't live within the community. They live within the university system, and they barely have people with experience that gives them that sort of support. Now, you are leaving Nigeria, which is a challenging environment because you have your challenges there. You're coming to a new country, a different country, but don't forget that country equally has its own challenging environment. So my co-panelists have spoken about culture shock and all that. Yeah, if you are not used to people kissing in front of you, you will see people kissing in front of you. And the one that even shook me the most was a woman kissing their dog mouth to mouth right in front of me in the tube. And I just came to the country and I was, wow, what's this? But you know what? Culture shock every day, everywhere. So you've got to be prepared for it. Somebody said your children would ask you questions. Yes, they will ask you questions, very difficult questions. You might even want to go, why are you asking me that question? Why are people against the LGBT community? They will ask you, you will think, are you supporting the LGBT community? Why are you asking such a question? No, you must never shout at your children for asking you any question. If your child asks you any question, think about it first, take a step back. What if it was my neighbor? What if it was brother, whoever, or sister, whoever's child that's asking me this question? You are not going to shout at them. You are going to use a reasonable approach. And that's what you must always do. And there will be all sorts of challenging questions that will be asked in this country. Now, let me quickly go to that question you have asked me. What are the steps that migrant can take to help them settle, become productive member of community? Great. I'll say, first of all, you are possibly migrating for economic reason or for educational reason. I want to appeal to you. Please add dawah to that intention. Have it in your intention that you are going to this country as well to do dawah, which means to spread good, okay? Whichever opportunity you have, you're going to spread good. You're going to do good and encourage the doing of the good. You're going to discourage the doing of evil. And you're going to be tactical about this, or have it as part of your intention so that your journey can be blessed. Secondly, ask Allah for guidance. Ask God for guidance. Do Salatul Istikhara before you make any decision. It's always good that you ask Allah, because once you have asked Him, you have put your affairs in His hand, and who else is best to discharge your affairs other than Allah? The third thing is this: when you travel, when you come in, please integrate and take part in community activities, in work-related activities. So you might be working and they say, we're going to have an end of the month, when we get paid, let's go and have this sort of activity. So they are mostly likely to suggest a pub where they drink alcohol. You don't want to go there. You don't want to be in that environment. The most likely thing we are going to do is to just step back, pretend that you didn't hear them, or you say you agree, but you fail to show up and all that. No, don't do that. Tell them that you'd love to participate, or can we have it in a restaurant? Or can we have it in an adventure place where we can have activities, team building activities? It will even add more fun to it. And they are likely to agree. And you can be open and say, I don't take alcohol, and I won't want to prevent you guys from doing it, or I won't want to not join in the activities. And they're usually very considerate. Because you don't want to be there and you are willing to take part, they are going to look for something that is more suitable for you. Participate in those activities, because that is the way you can quickly integrate, and you can also let them know more about you, and you know more about them. You watchful, try to know these people very well. You also, to help you integrate, you need to have a concept language barrier. Yeah, if you travel to an Arab country and you don't speak Arab, if you travel to French or Germany, you will have to learn their language. But most of us, we think if you travel to an English country, you don't have much problem. You have a little bit of a problem because you don't hear very well. the way they speak their English, you need to attune your ears so that you are able to listen very well. Watch their movies, listen to them on the TV, so that way you learn more, your ears pick up things quicker. And also you need to attune your tongue, because you are in a place where they speak fast. You also want to speak fast. When you speak fast, you confuse them. It's better you speak slowly, they hear you, because if you try to speak fast, you are not using the intonation, and therefore they are even more confused. So tune your ears and your tongue to the environment. Now, don't exclude yourself also from people because you don't like them or you don't have the same value. They are LGBT, so you are keeping away from them. They are Christians or they are Buddhists. You don't want to have anything to do with them. No. I'm completely against that. You should integrate and deal with everybody. The Prophet himself, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, said that you should not withdraw from people, but relate with them and put up with their problems. Okay, so you integrating with even people you don't share the same belief is an opportunity for dawah. You listen to them, you understand them, you get to know what they do, why they do what they do, etc. And then they're interested in you, they get to know you, and definitely they might be picking up one or two things from them. You need to understand that these people, they've tried so many things. They've tried drugs, they've tried dance, they've tried adventures, and they still have a vacuum in their mind. And so when you see them do extreme things, it is still because they're looking for something. And by the time they're talking to you and they found out that you've got the peace of mind, you've got this, you are calm, you are okay with yourself, you are okay in your skin, you don't have the worries that they have, they might want to know what exactly is making you so strong, so successful, so well built, so well developed. Now, always find out before you act. Find out information before you act. Don't ever take somebody's opinion. Don't take a single person's advice. Take a second opinion, a third opinion. Ask the right people. You see, some people think someone who has done the same thing I've done, they've come before me, they use the same route. Therefore, whatever they tell me is right. Yes, to an extent. The good advice comes from someone who has walked the same journey. But a better advice is that you actually go to people who have not just walked the path, but they have experience of other people who have walked several paths, or those who are actually professional in the field. These are the people that can help you to make the right decision and to integrate in the community. I will stop here so that I can give other people time to speak.
Thank you very much, sir. As I said to everyone in the audience, if you do have any questions, this is like the perfect opportunity to put them in the chat box. I'll hopefully give about 20 minutes for question and answers. So yeah, kindly use this time. Thank you very much, Brother Shams. I would like to call upon, so we've got two more speakers. We've got Brother Jalili and we've got a family, the Onobanjos. So I'd like to call on, let's call on Brother Jalili and then we'll do the Onobanjos afterwards, inshallah. So Brother Jalili, Assalamu alaikum, are you there? Okay, I think Brother Jalili is not there. Maybe he's dropped off. In that case, do I have the Onobanjo family? Yes, I do. I can see. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Abdul Ghaniyu Onobanjo, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for your patience. It's never easy going last. Thank you. I thought we were going to have your wife as well. Is she still available?
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about that. She traveled and she's because of the timing over there, and she's kind of busy over there, so she won't be joining us right now. So, but I was thinking maybe she'll be able to make it, but she said she won't be able to make it. So And I think I'll probably say most of the whole thing as on behalf of her, and say some of the because if we talk about this whole traveling, she's the what will I say? She's the organizer, and she's the planner around it, and she does all of that very well. So, and I would just say in terms of if there's anything technical around it, that's when I comes in to do one or two things. So first, I'll first just say that I appreciate you guys bringing up this kind of program. It's very, very good. It's something that, but I just have the problem with the Japa kind of use because I don't want to accept that Japa. I don't know, maybe some people are Japaing, I don't know, but I don't Japa. I still, I'm not Japaing from Nigeria anyway. But the point is that we all know that there's challenges everywhere. Every country has their own challenges, and we also have but one of the things I would say from beginning is that the challenges, I think the question is the challenges people face when they move to another country, right?
So brother Abdulghani, you can definitely talk about the challenges, and also I thought it'd be quite interesting for you to also, like the other speakers have spoken about, some of the solutions around this, so some resources exactly that people can leverage on. So yeah, over to you.
So I would say first, if I think the most important thing in someone's life is when you decide to move to any other country, I think the most important thing is to think about it, plan it from beginning, and the planning it from beginning will determine, and it also depends on the kind of immigration that you are engaging in. Either you want to travel as a relocating to that country, or you are traveling as a family. I mean, you are traveling as a family, or you are traveling alone, or you are traveling to that country. You are migrating for education. And if you're migrating for education, there's a lot of things involved in it, either you married or not married. And you have to think about, okay, being a single or being married, or are you traveling with your family? All of that needs to be from the route planning because you can have a smooth landing in any country, because living in your own country as well, there's a lot of challenges from going to one state to another, not to even talk about you moving to a whole country that you've never been. Even if you have been there, you've never been there to live there as someone who is living there. Living in a country is totally different from traveling there for vacation and things like that, because I've traveled before to so many countries before, even if it is business purposes, and then moving to Canada as in relocating is totally a different ballgame for me, because I look at it that it's not the same thing you going there for vacation, because a lot of people will look at it, I've been to this country, I've been to this country based on vacation, and it's totally different from when you are there as a resident and you are living there. You need to start your life. It's very, very a rigorous process that you need to start learning everything one after the other. So one of the first thing I would say is that when myself and my wife decided to say, okay, we need to move, we need to relocate, I was in, of course, she was at a point, we both decided, but it got to a point I decided to say, okay, I'm not going again. I want to stay based on my field. Okay, let me just say my career starting point was in IT. So then before I started moving into product development, and right now I started from software development, and now I'm a product manager but it still falls in the lines of a product development in terms of the hardware or software development, things like that. So, and right back in Nigeria, I was working as one of the product design manager and a brand management for a meter manufacturing companies in Nigeria, which is a MEMCO. And for years, I started working with them for I think in 2007. So before I left Nigeria, and I also I've been engaging in my own company. I registered my own company in 2005. So, and from there, that was one of the things that actually I always like to do my own thing, as in like invest in my own kind of personal business and use the other thing to do. So when we decided to move, I that was the point that in our lives, in our family lives, that a lot of things was coming up as a positive. Why in Nigeria? Because that was when I came up with an idea that actually won the Pan-African Innovation Award for Best Innovative Idea for a kind of thing. So I told my wife because of that, that I don't think I'll be embarking on this journey. And that was the time that we applied for PMP. So we actually applied the very first one, which was the one for because the reason I'm saying this is the process that where we went through before we finally landed here. So because it wasn't easy, so we applied, we got the PMP, but at that point we look at it that okay, Nova Scotia, because they were asking us if we're going to be in, we don't know where Nova Scotia is in Canada, and we have cousins who also is in Canada, in Toronto. Then we ask him, how is Toronto, Nova Scotia? The only thing he told us that is a very, there's Eskimos that lives there, is very cold and things like that. And I was like, okay, my wife was like, okay, we asked a lot of people, and it's just one person that told us, one of my cousins that says, he said he's been there, but he doesn't think he's kind of really cold. So, but we should just prepare to go there. And for me as an entrepreneur, the guy told me that the best thing for me is that is a small community, and it's good for someone as an entrepreneur to grow faster. Then those are the kind of things that we started making research about Nova Scotia, where it is, the population, what kind of course we realized that it's one of the Atlantic Canada. And those are the kind of, like Sister Ares said, that wherever you are going to, just make research about that place, know the amount of Nigerians there, know the amount of things that are there, and try to find out. The most important thing that someone told us before we moved was that because it's a cold region, what you guys need to do is to first of all find a home. So if you find a home, at least if you are in a house and you need to get something, whatever you need, just find a place to settle down, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation whereby you get to a kind of cold region, then you now decided you are now looking for, you have accommodation problem, moving from one place to another, and that kind of things can knock you guys down in terms of health and things like that. So you guys need to find a place, at least find a place to get called just secure a place that you will stay, then every other thing will fall in place after that. So we listened to that. Then myself and my wife were like, okay, and like I said, she's a planner. She packed all of boats, everything, Gary, pots, some little pots, some Igbale, and I was even, I'm the kind of person that when I want to travel, maybe I'm traveling tomorrow. At that night, that's when I will be packing on my loads. So, but she will be doing her own a month before, then she will be packing everything. So she was already packing everything. And another thing is that and one thing that a lot of people usually say, which I don't totally agree with, is that Nigerians are bad, or don't talk to Nigerians, or don't do this to Nigerians, or don't do that too. But we also have that kind of trauma too, that the way we don't, not that I don't totally agree with it, but I know that there are some Nigerians and there are some good Nigerians too. So it's cut across, if I would say that you just need to, you just need to make sure that you yourself, you are not asking for too much. You don't do too much. And whoever you are asking question from, just make sure that you are specific, and don't go and be asking or be looking for something that is not possible like that. Just make sure that at least if I ask you questions, okay, I need something like this, I need that, I need something. If you are now deviating from the question I ask you, telling me some sweet things that is happening, I will quickly know that, yes, or something. So I think it's just a kind of things that be specific with whoever you are talking to, and at the same time, you two just be specific with what you need to get from that person. So what we did was just my wife, of course, she has a blog, and Sherifa Tonobanjo, but now she created, we both created Life in Nova Scotia, which she's now currently using. Then through that, she's always documented all our experience from beginning of that, of when we started the whole process. She'd always document all of that. She has all of that. She communicates with people. She has a lot of Indians that she has been talking to, Philippines. All of those people, they are very good in terms of moving to any part of the country. So she communicates with a lot of them. She has a lot of them information, and a lot of things. The best is to ask questions. Just talk to people, let them give you a lot of information that you need to move to that particular country. So when she asked all of those questions, through asking questions, then she got to know one Nigerian Muslim here, and that connected us to where we can get a house. And from Nigeria, we secure the house, we pay through from Nigeria, and we make sure that that was there. And somebody who was a Nigerian there went there to help us to get the place and secure the place properly and look at the place. And that's one of the things I said. If Nigeria want to help you, they will help you. The one that will want to help you will not want to help you. So they actually went there. We got the house, and we told them that, okay, this is where the house is located. And they went there. They confirmed. They said, wow, that's our place is perfect. So you guys can. So from there we paid, and the day we moved from Nigeria. And one of the things, like I said, she has already planned everything. When we landed, of course, we did all of those things. Then we got to the point that we got to our house, to the place that we rented. So, and the Nigerians that were there actually came with food, as in there was, they came there with jollof rice. They came there, as in we saw like 3 or 4 Nigerians that brought food for us. So that alone made, and some of them were like, oh, your room is still, is an empty place. And some of them will like tell you, oh, there's a place that some people used to, something that they don't no longer use is out there if you are interested, we'll get them for you. And some of them were like bringing all of those things. And one of the major challenge I would say is regarding the code, but it wasn't as Eskimo that they were talking about, because the code wasn't really, Nova Scotia, I would say that is one of the places that is not that kind of really, is not cold, is just medium, it's just like a London weather. So London weather in the sense that it's not stable, it fluctuates. And since I've been in Canada, since I've been in Nova Scotia since 2016, I will tell you that since 2016 up to date, the coldest has ever been 40%. As in minus 40. So as in the coldest, and so we've been fluctuating between let's say 10, 15. So it's only when I went to Winnipeg, I just realized that, so no, that place is cold. 50%, as like, I was like, no, that place is cold anyway. So the most important thing was that when we landed, we realized that one of the challenges was the cold aspect of it. So what we did was at least try to get a car. We went to Kijiji at least just to secure, because we have to, I was the only one going for job. My wife was kind of, because we have, like the sister Mina said, you have to, in terms of, we came in with 2 kids, my son and my daughter. They were, so we had a lot of challenge with, with daycare. because I just told my wife that let me first of all go and get a job. Then when I get a job, then
Hello
you
there.
can
My name is Shay.
focus on taking care of the kids and all of that. And one of the things I would say is that
Hello there. My name is Shay.
Sorry, I'm trying to find her YouTube channel. Apologies, ignore me.
Okay. So the most important thing is that I will tell you that the both husband and wife, if you're married and you're coming here, both of you need to see how you can plan your life, because that's very, very important. Because I will tell you, forget the fact that you have a high level position where you are coming from. Yes, there are some people who landed from Nigeria, gotten a job here, and they just move into the job. So, but you are not going to compare yourself with them. And there are some people who have a higher position and they want to come here and they have opportunity to move back and then back and forth. You don't want to compare yourself with them. If you are here and you are here to stay, you need to actually lower your shoulder and make sure that the job you are going to get, for the very first job you're going to get might be job that is not totally in your field, might be menial job. You are doing that. And one of the most important thing I would tell anyone, either you are a student or you are here to actually start working, is the fact that there's what they call soft skills is very, very important here. And what that means is that a lot of companies here, they will not employ you if you are new to Canada, because they will say you have a Canadian experience. And I usually think that Canadian experience is about your job or your things or what you do. But when I get into the system, I started realizing that it's not all about you being smart or you being very good at what you do, but it's about how you relate with people. So how you relate, no employer wants to employ you and you made that mistake, because it can affect their business as well. If you get to that job, I'll tell you one is somebody experienced that actually got it. He went for an interview and they were asking him a lot of questions. Then the next thing, part of the question, they asked him how he can be able to relate with some people with special needs. And the next thing he would tell them is that, how did he use that language? I think he said, people with special needs, how we call them, some languages that we use in Nigeria, like, I think he said,
Retarded.
He's not even that. I think that one is even still okay.
Is it
Can we say imbecile?
Imbecile, thank you. Imbecile. He said, okay, is it people with imbecile? I'm telling you, the guy lost the job because he was actually good in the whole process, but that language he used actually made, so like, it's not like anything, but the point is that nobody wants to employ you to use a language that is not appropriate. So, and another thing, I'll give you another example. Somebody will come into the office and will greet a lady that, how was your night? So, and the lady was like, warned him for the first time. And the next time he did that, he wasn't doing it intentionally, because he was asking the lady, how was your night? And how was your night to them here? I don't know any other part. So it's like, you want to know what is happening in the middle of the night with a married woman. So as in, the woman was, she had to report that guy to the management, and they sacked him because of that. So, and one of those things is, if you do that and the employer get to know, and that gets out there, it can affect the employer. So the employer will not want to employ someone who just based on if you have a Canadian experience. And I just want to say that I'm not neglecting the fact that there's racism or there's some kind of what's it called? Some kind of some kind of whatever they want to call it. So, but in my own opinion, I would just say that just be yourself and make sure that at least you learn and you ask questions. And most of the things, don't talk too much. Myself, I don't really, if I just have to study your mood I just have to know if you are kind of person that I really want to talk, and I study people and I mind what I said, and can kind of, no matter how good you are, so if you don't have that soft skills, how to relate with employees, is going to be a very big challenge for you to even have a job. But if you finally get a job, I'm telling you, if you get into the system, if you get it first in your field, and I'm telling you, it's going to be you are going from there to a higher level. So for as long as you maintain your standard, then once you have gotten that job, you will get, because when we landed within the job that was available, I worked at the airport as a moving agent, ramp agent, like people who put luggage into the plane. And that was what I did for 6 months. I ran away from that job because of code, because there was a code of at like 40%, I mean minus 40, that I just ran away from the job. But after that, I got a call center job. Then from there, I decided to go to school. And another thing is the system. I'm telling you, the system, you have to study the system before you move into it. The system here, number one, the low income people are actually the one that the government focus upon to assist. You can get low income house, you can get a house based on your income, and you can get a lot of support. Tax return, you get a lot of tax return from government. A child benefit, you get a lot of child benefit from the government if you are low income. And if you are middle class income, then that is where the government make a lot of people from. So they make you that, like, your salary, that means your salary is above 40%. And if you're, 40,000 per annum. If your salary is above 40,000 per annum, you are getting almost 25 to 30% reduction from your income salary every month. So, and the rich, they know how to dodge the taxes and all of that. So what I want to bring from that is that look at how the system works, and don't overdo things yourself. When you get in, study the system, study how you can do what you know you can do, and be able to relate with people. Like Brother Samson said, don't look at people and say, don't just look at them and say maybe you are better than them or anything, but just make sure you follow, study the system, and be nice to people. There's a lot of things that culture shock. Like my son, when he first started, but they are now going to Muslim school, but it started with public school. And on that public school, we got there, and the first thing we saw was a boy. That was the first day. It was a boy telling his own mother that, don't be silly. And that language alone, my wife was like, what? How can a child be telling his mother, don't be silly? And my son one day wanted to try that kind of a thing. But of course, now you know what that is expected from. So since then, he didn't try it at all. But when he moved to Muslim school, he himself, till today, and all his siblings too. We had another one here, is also in Muslim school, and they liked Muslim school. And the fact remains that, of course, the kids there, the only difference there is that every child can do whatever they like in public school, and there's a limit. But in Muslim school, they just try to put them through the culture of how things should be done, the moral aspect of things and things like that. So if anybody is paid Muslim school anyway, but we just decided, myself and my wife agreed, that we're going to use the child benefit to be paying for their school fees. And whatever we are making from our own income, we use it for whatever instead. Then, like I said about studying the system, when I decided to go back to school to study further in entrepreneurship innovation, because I registered my company here and I started my own business, and I was just like, okay, I need to go to study how things works here. So I started school again. Then that makes my own income reduce. My wife is now the one that is working full time, and that makes us to have more income to support our child in the Muslim school. So all of this is just a kind of planning and things that we need to put forward before anything. And both of you need to work together. Of course, there's going to be when both of you need to put one or two things together and say, okay, you focus on this and let me focus on that. And I believe that's the way things should work. And that's the only thing I would say in this whole thing. And I believe everything will work fine if both of you just work together to work things out.
Thank you so much, Brother Abdulghani. That was very insightful. And I've also shared, I found the blog of living in Nova Scotia, is that how you pronounce it? I've shared it on the chat box, and I also found your wife's YouTube channel. So I hope that will be insightful for people in the audience. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our amazing panelists. We were supposed to stop at 5:30, but I think the conversation's proven to be very interesting to everyone. So we'll probably end at 6, but I now want to use this opportunity to take the questions from the chat box. If any of our panelists can no longer stay, I absolutely understand. Kindly let me know in the chat box if you need to go. But to our audience, if you don't mind, we'd like to extend it to 6. And this is just so that you get the most out of this session. And again, to our fantastic panelists, if you do not mind, stay until about 6 o'clock. If that is a concern for any of you, then please send me a message and feel free to drop off. We really appreciate your time and for coming here to share your perspective. So let me start going through the questions. So 1 second. I have to go all the way to the top. Sorry. All right. The first one is not necessarily a question, but it's more of a plea for, I guess, help. It says, I am glad to be among the audience. Migrating is something I have ever wished for. However, I have never gotten the right link. Don't know if I can be fortunate to get someone that can be helpful in this regard. Like reading that, I'm not 100% sure how much help we can offer on today's call, but I mean, because of time, I might need to get an answer from only one person, but is there anyone of our fantastic panelists that can give advice to this individual? Okay, I'm gonna do first to raise their hand. So Sister Muina, that was you. Go, thank you.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. For any information you want to get on migration, I know about Canada. There's someone called Olu of Canada on Instagram, and everything he shares every single thing about migrating to Canada as a student or as a permanent resident, or if you're looking for a job. And I know that he has, if you go to his bio, you will see like his links where you can join group chats, I think Telegram groups. So you can join them and you join maybe for student route or for permanent residency route, and he's very good. And there's another person who helps with information. He has a YouTube channel and he also has an Instagram channel that shares lots of information about migrating to every other part of the world. It's called Waka Waka Doctor. Now, these two people, all they do is they share information and they lay emphasis on do it yourself. Yes, they can give you information of people that actually are licensed. Like I'm a fan of Brother Gani's wife, yes, Sherifat, and I know that she's a licensed immigration consultant. And on her YouTube channel, she actually shares useful information about life in Nova Scotia as well. So you can also get people who are licensed, but you have to be sure that they are licensed. So Waka Waka Doctor for everywhere, and Olu of Canada for specifically Canada.
Thank you so much, Sister Muina. And Sister Bilkis, I see you've been dropping some resources in the chat box. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to follow suit, if you have any resources, please put them in the chat box. And if you have any comments as well, kindly do so. So I'm on to my next question.
I'm sorry. I'd just like to say that those links in the chat are for people who might be looking to migrate to Australia and Canada. So the second link is IRCC. So that's the official website of the Canadian immigration website, and also follow Sister Moina. Sister Farida, do you have a page or something that people can follow? Because she seems very well-grounded, especially as a student. So you want to follow all these people, but also there's Aisha Lagunju. This is someone that I know. I just shared like this link with a friend of mine, and she's already in Australia. And that happened last year. Within 3 months, she was there just by watching her videos and everything. And that's a very successful person that lives there. And she's been my friend since secondary school, so I can vouch for every information that she gives. So also, don't just look at Canada and the UK and the US. There are other places like Australia where you have the capacity to excel to, and it doesn't take time to become a citizen and everything. So explore other avenues as well.
Thank you, Sister Bilkis. Sister Farida, go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly add, like, you can also use resources like, I know in Canada, like, we have a lot of settlement services, and a lot of them are very huge help. I remember somebody mentioned something in the comment section, and I realized that I didn't touch on this, but like the change in status thing is a very big challenge. It was a challenge for me when I was changing my status from a student to a worker, because there was an issue like with my, so when you graduate, you get like a postgraduate work permit. And when I applied for that, at first my application was refused, and it was based on IRCC's mistake. They're never gonna admit that it was their mistake. But it was clear that they made a mistake on my application, and it took me about 3 months to get that fixed. But thankfully, I was able to identify that they made the mistake, and I went through all the steps to make sure that I found the reason that they put on there. Like, they basically said that I didn't do something, which was not the case. And at that point, the only person that could help me was myself, because when you're in that sort of situation, you're like in like a limbo. You don't know what to do, like you're very frazzled. So I seek the help of like my local MP, which is like the member of parliament. So like the government too, sometimes they're very useful, especially in situations that are like, you don't know what to do. Like, they're very helpful. They have like offices, they have phones like you can call. Like, I think at first I didn't want to go to the government because I was like, oh, it's the government, I don't know. But when I went to their office, and I'm thankful that I did, they helped me better than I could have ever like gotten. Because like when I went to my MP office, like they helped me like call immigration, and like I showed them all my documents and showed them that, yes, they made a mistake, can you help me? And they really did a good job in helping. So I would say like never be shy to like voice your concerns, or like if you need help, especially when you're struggling. Because I feel like as immigrants or like Black people, like we feel like we don't want to do anything with like the government, like we just want to do it by ourselves or ask our own people. But they are very helpful, and like never be shy, or don't make that a reason for you to put yourself in a barrier because you feel like race is something like that. I hope I'm making sense. So use other resources of like settlement, and Canada is very good at trying to make their settlement like services better. So yes.
Thank you so much for that, Farida. Thank you. That was very insightful. Yeah, thank you so much. Let me move on to the next question because of time. Oh yeah, and one thing you said as well, I think it was Sister Bilkis. Do any of you have any, so I know there are a lot of bloggers here, YouTubers, if you have any social media platforms that you do not mind sharing, there's no need, there's no compulsion to do so, where, you know, people in the audience can contact you for any questions, please feel free to do so, like drop it in the chat box, please, because I can see people are asking for contact numbers, and I'm not at liberty to just share, you know, contact numbers. So if anyone wants to share their like social media handle or email address, please feel free to do so in the chat box. There was a question about UK visa, so I think this might be for Brother Shams, but it says, I want you to enlighten us on UK working visas going on. Maybe that's to speak about the routes, if that's something that you have knowledge about, but if not, are there any resources that you can direct this individual to?
So I would say it's not something I delve into. And as I've said previously, always ask the right people, the professional. Now, there are people who are actually authorized by the Home Office, which is our immigration department, who are authorized as immigration officers or support officers. They are not government officials. They are independent. Usually some lawyers, some are not lawyers. You don't need to be a lawyer. They know the ins and outs of immigration and they can advise. What happens is in the UK, they've got what they call a shortage list. These are lists of professions or work where UK hasn't got enough people. So they put professional shortage list such that you can then apply from abroad, or a company can then get a visa to give you a working visa for that. So you need to find out if that job you're looking for is on the shortage list. But the best thing really is to get someone. Recently, they opened a route for care workers. That has stopped last month, but I understand that there is an advanced care workers role that is still possible, but you need to have been in a hospital environment, working environment, maybe ex-nurse or healthcare assistants, and have some certification to prove that is a legal route that people are still using to come to the UK. So, but I won't speak too much about that. You need to find either a lawyer, immigration advisor, or some people who do this to help you get through.
Thank you very much for that, Brother Shams. Next question. Can one of the panelists tell us how important it may be to select the right neighborhood for raising a family? I might pick Brother Shams, and then maybe Brother Abdul Ghani, because you were originally supposed to join with your wife, so it kind of makes sense. Brother Shams, please go.
Okay, so this is one thing I've actually wanted to speak to before, but I don't want to take too much time. Say most of the time, we often migrate to where we have high concentration of migrants. So for example, in the UK, London is the center. And for a very long time, I lived in London for over 10 years. And I've always asked, what are people going outside London to live for? Why do you go outside London? London is where you have everything. Even work is in London. But I remember that some of the first advice I got when I got here from non-Nigerians, British people, oh, your children are very intelligent, look for a very good school for your children. But what that means is not just look for the school. It means be prepared to move home, okay, to a town where there's a good school. And I used to think, I need to look for a home where it's closest to work for myself. But education is so important in this country. I will tell you, in answering that question, I will tell you, if you don't want to, like I started thinking, I did not come to the UK to raise children that will become criminal or that will get lost or get killed. And therefore, that was when I knew I had to move out of London. So I don't live in London, I live in Buckinghamshire, in Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire. But what caused that was education. And therefore, you asking this question, I'm going to say it is education. Now, in the UK, all schools are free, except there are private schools that you pay a lot of money for. Well, your public school, completely free. I've never spent a dime on schooling for my children. However, your comprehensive school, your normal school, are like your caretaker for your children. They take care of your children while you go to work. Your children might be behaving poorly. They might be doing anything they like. The teachers will not send them away, well, except in extreme cases, but they'll just manage them there. Whether your child makes progress or not, they are moved on to the next class. They are moved on to the next class. They are moved on to the next class until you realize that your children cannot do GCSE. They have to do a foundation. They cannot even think of going to university. They have to go to a college to do hairdressing, plumbing, and other stuff like that. Other stuff, I'm not pulling anything down. I'm just letting you know, because most of us have high expectation. Our children, they're going to go to university, which is wrong, but let's even leave it like that. We have high expectation that our children are going to attain this level and that level. Therefore, if that is your expectation, you've got to move to a town that has got good schools. Now, which ones are the good schools? I've just told you Almost all the schools are caretaker, taking care of your children while you go to work. The teachers in your school, they're not going to, usually they will not say something seriously bad about your children. They called it. Oh, he was a bit chatty in class today. Oh, he was so playful. She was so playful at school today. What they're telling you, if your child was a bit chatty, was he was talking back to the teacher. When the teacher said they should keep quiet in the class, she was the one talking. When they said he was a bit playful, he was jumping on the desk, he was disrupting lessons, but they will never tell you in plain words. They're going to code it, they're going to write it in his books that was passed from one teacher to another teacher. So it is important that if you can get into a grammar school, please get your children into a grammar school. Grammar schools are the old schools where high priority for discipline and high emphasis on education. Grammar schools are tough to get into. You have to do 11 plus or 12 plus or 13 plus to write exam to go into them. Very difficult. But if your child gets into a grammar school, no doubt, very good, very, very good expectation, and they get good grades, and they pick them into universities. So I will say education should be the main thing. You can travel anywhere to go and work. You don't want to lose your children, then focus on them. And secondly, not just about where you live, about you yourself. You've got to create the time. I know many Nigerians, they come here, they socialize, they go to parties, they work 2 jobs or 3 jobs, and then the remaining time they do parties. No, our life has to be around, we work and we support our children so that we can have a better future, a peaceful future. So you must do your own works with your children. Sit down and guide them. Your children watch cartoons on TV, sit down with them, know the cartoon they are watching. Pause the TV and explain things to them. Point out things to them that is good, that is bad, that is ugly. Okay, you have to sit with them. And anywhere, since COVID, even before COVID, in the UK, every community, the Nigerians in the communities, they are coming together. We have a WhatsApp group in my community. When I moved here in 2011, there were about 5 elderly Nigerian Muslims that I know that were living in this community. When we moved, we were probably some of the average young people that moved. Since 2011, we are now over 50 families, Nigerian Muslim families, in Aylesbury, just my town. And we have community work, we do iftar, we do program. So please put it as part of your agenda. Finding your spirituality. And finding that spirituality is connecting with people in your local area, organizing events, organizing programs. When we first moved there, my wife, we set up what we call homework club. And we brought African children, even Asian, everybody. We rented a whole hall, we'll put books there, 3 hours, they work for 45 minutes, do maths, another 45 minutes English, another 45 minutes other subjects. In between the 45 minutes, they have 15 minutes, they go all sort of sporting equipment, the children play, after that they go back, sit down, and there will be an adult on each table getting them to do their homework, or when they are doing some things. So we set this up, and it was completely free. So this is the sort of things that communities are starting to do, and they should be doing. All of us here, I'm happy we're here. I think we should liaise more. We should have this sort of session more so that we can share ideas. We need to help our communities grow and succeed and be successful. I hate it when I hear Nigerian children getting into trouble, crime and all that. And the way we can do it is to support ourselves like this so that we can raise children successfully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Shams. Brother Abdulghani, because of time, could I ask you to limit everyone to limit answers to about 1 minute? So we'll have Brother Abdulghani, then Sister Bilkis, and then I have a question for Sister Kanagisha. So yeah, Brother Abdulghani, go ahead.
Okay, I think the most important thing, like I said, where you are going to try to find out what community you are going into, because the community you are going into is what will now form what you yourself and your children will be built upon, especially when you are planning to live in that community for a very long time. So, and it happens that, of course, when we got to Nova Scotia, we realized that I won't say, of course, anywhere all over the world is good, is okay, but I will tell you that myself and my wife have decided to make Nova Scotia our second home after Nigeria. And we're at least, if you want to move to anywhere outside Canada, we can go there, do some holiday and come back here. Why? Because Nova Scotia, according to history, is regarded as one of the best places in North America to raise kids, as in to raise family, because of the small community. The community just reached about 1 million population of recent, and of course it's growing. Then one of the things is that is majorly populated by the elderly people, and now a lot of people are moving in, and there's a lot of universities here as well. But the only thing I saw there is that not that the people there, the kids there in school, compared to any other places I've been hearing about, is the fact that kids in school, they are very, very kind of wild in terms of things like that. But here, even for the fact that kids are in public school, even public school, sometimes you hear what the child in public school, even in Muslim schools, are doing, you will still, but the most important thing is about the parent. You yourself, the school here, they will tell you the reason why you have to train your child from home, and nobody will train your child for you. And from home, you have to see how you can build your kids to be respectful to others. And one of the things that they do here is that you don't disrespect, no matter in terms of diversity, because Canada is full of different culture and things like that, and Canada is really doing a lot of work in that to make sure that to create an inclusive environment. And I would say that inclusive environment is very, very important in any place that you find yourself. Then you yourself, you should make sure that your kids are well trained up from home, because it all starts from home. No matter what you get out there to do with your kids, maybe you want to put them in, even if the community is okay, but you have to set up one thing that have to bring you guys together. When we came into Nova Scotia, one of the things I was actually looking out for was a Muslim community, and to my greatest surprise, there was a large Atlantic Muslim community, but of course, full of different tribes, different nationality, especially the Lebanese, the Indians, and some other people. And when we got there, there was no Nigerian kind of Muslim group. And I asked one of the Nigerians that landed of recent, then we came together and formed a Nigerian community group as a Muslim community group. There's already a Nigerian association, which is also from that basis. I joined the Nigerian Association. I was one of the past executive. And of course, a lot of people will tell you some Nigerians are this, some Nigerians are that. I think it all depends on you yourself to also be able to to create a kind of room to be accessible. And don't be rigid. Don't be kind of, if you have information, like Farida said, that's one of the things I actually wanted to mention. Anywhere in Canada community, I'm telling you, there's information where you can go to get information. Don't be afraid. Don't look at the government. The government are actually the easiest place to get information. They are very easy. They will help you. Even when we landed here, the only mistake we've been doing is to enter transport. And you will realize that where you are going, you enter the same bus to your destination. To where you are coming from. You will enter the same bus back to where you are coming from. I've done that several times and I started asking the bus driver, because I couldn't, and they will help you. Even some of them will come down from their seat to tell you, to give you details of where you are going. So a lot of things, just ask questions, as in you can go to their library, you can sit down there, ask them in the library, ask the librarian, just sit down with them. They will give you a lot of information. I'm telling you, they are fantastic. They will give you even more than what you expected. And there's also some kind of, I realized that when we landed, the Muslim community that we joined, which is the other Muslim community, Atlantic Muslim, they actually they took us to what they call the food bank and said we should start picking all sorts of food. So if you don't ask, if you just sit down, I know student and somebody asking the question in this thing, how do you deal with the trauma when a lot of students are going through a lot of trauma, as in even changing courses, and because of changing environment, dealing with the startup, all of those things. I've asked why in school, I was one of the international student ambassador, as in for African students. And I was able to realize the challenges the students are going through. One of them actually wanted to commit suicide because it's not that the parents are not giving her money.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but
okay.
Because of time,
so
can I ask you to
all
round
right.
up?
So the most important thing is just make sure that whatever community you find, no communities is so bad and no community is so good. The only thing is depends on you yourself and how you're going to build your children to meet up the standard of, the standard that you want in that community and add to the value of that community. So not to be part of the diminishing value of the community.
Thank you very much, Atogani. And Brother Tosin, please don't go. I've got a question for you. I've got a question for Sister Kemigisha. I think she's dropped off, but hopefully she'll come back on. Sister Bilkis, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say quickly that when you also get reports, no matter how small your child is, please make sure you check the reports. So one time my daughter got a report, and in that report they were like, oh, she got the highest score ever they've ever seen in kindergarten since they opened the school 120 years ago and everything. And they said all of that, nice things. Yes, baby? I want milk. Okay, no problem. So right in the middle there, they said Zara needs to make more positive choices. And I was like, what do you mean? So I went to this school. I went to the teacher and I was like, please, I brought gift. So I said, thank you so much. You are the best ever and everything. And I said, please, could you explain what you mean by Zara needs to make positive choices? I need to understand what your angle is and your perspective. And then he said, oh, because it's play-based learning, right? And when we need to transition from playing to actual learning, which is still play-based learning, Zara doesn't transition easily. And I was like, so you thought that the best language was for you to say that she needs to make positive choices? And I said, see, I'm going to go there. We're going to have the talk, and the talk is the equity talk. And I brought this book for the teacher, and I was like, please, because she's a Black child, she's the only Black child in this class, you cannot use such languages, because by saying that she needs to make more positive choices, you are alluding that my daughter is making negative choices. And it's a play-based learning. I think the onus is on you, and it behoves you as the teacher to find ways to help her transition. That's why she comes to school. So if it's play-based learning and the child is having difficulty transitioning from play to, as in might make sense. But I was like, maybe you should, I brought a list, including books. And I said, okay, these are the list of things I thought, okay, wait, yes. These are the list of things I think we can do. We can ring a bell when it's time to transition. We can write on the board. We can do this. We can say 5 minutes. She listens to such and such. These are examples that I use at home. These are books that will help you to understand the perspective of the Black child and the difficulties and disparities that they experience in the world. And I also said, oh, there was one more thing that I spoke to him about the play-based learning or whatever. And I was like, my dear, Mama call positive choices. You wait for mommy. Exactly. Everybody, let's know what we are doing. So, and I sit and thank you and everything. And I always greet that teacher extra special so that he won't say, oh, aggressive Black woman. But even if she says it's Motumbo and PTA meeting, and I was part of I'm part of the executives for the school. So there's an executive, like parent, teacher, executive. I'm part of it. Like, you cannot be aloof. You cannot say, I don't want to be there. Even if you cannot speak English, go there. You must be, because that's how they make decisions that then disrepresent us or marginalize us because we are shy. Yes, I'll be that we are shy of responsibilities and we never want to engage. So there are people too that don't understand English. All those Shikarian people, they can't speak English. You will not die if you speak your broken English. That's number one. Number two, you can borrow equipment from the library to build a house, like plumbing equipment and everything. If you know how to sew, if you're a tailor and you didn't bring your resources from home, like your machine, you can borrow a whole sewing machine, like whipping machine, everything. You can borrow tractor from the library, anything you need. So if you want to DIY and build your own house, please feel free to access any Ontario library. You can access it. You don't even have to go there. You can just log in and they'll bring it to your house, including any tractor. They'll bring it for you.
Thank you so much, Sister Belkis. Thank you. Thank you for that perspective. And Sister Kamigisha, can you unmute yourself, please? So my question to you is, somebody in the audience asked, do you have any plans to, maybe return to Uganda, or has, I think I quote, as a Nigerian gentleman swept you off your feet? Is she here? Sister Kamigisha, are you here? I'll give you some time to settle back in because I think you got kicked off. So, Brother Tosin, This one's for you. If you could take something from Nigeria back to where you are, what would it be?
Well, pretty much, thank you for the question. I'd say the experience I've had so far. That's like the exposure that I've had so far. That's about the only thing I'd say is different. Nigeria is a very beautiful country. I've been privileged to live in different parts of the world. I think Nigeria is beautiful. We have a very good weather. People have been complaining about cold. People have been complaining about culture shock, about parenting. Now, these are things that naturally in Nigeria, you just don't know how you do it. The weather is beautiful. Parenting is pretty much easier. Because it's where you grew from, so you don't have culture shock. You don't have gun issues. You're not scared of taking your kids to the school and then someone is coming, a lone ranger, then coming to gun your children down. So the only thing different is the exposure. And that's about the only thing I think I've had over here. Here, you're exposed to a whole lot of things. Like a whole lot of things. So the resources are there for you to actually build yourself, for you to actually, make the best of the skills that you want to get to. So there's really nothing stopping you in terms of education, to acquire whatever it is you want to acquire. There's just support over here and assistance for you to actually get everything that you need. So if I'm going back to Nigeria, I take the exposure, I take the skills, I take all of the resources that I've had over here. And then that's about the only thing I think I can take back. The culture, nothing. I don't think I'll take anything beyond that as well too. I love Nigeria. And I do. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Robert Tosin.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Sister Kamigisha, so I don't know if did you get the question or shall I repeat it?
Please, you can repeat it again.
Yeah. So somebody asked that it was for everyone in the audience, but I think your perspective will be interesting. Do you have sort of like a long-term plan to go back home to Uganda? Obviously, Nigeria's probably home now, to go back to Uganda, or has a Nigerian gentleman swept you off your feet? That was the.
Thank you so much, Maria. And very insightful stuff that everyone has spoken. Thank you so much to the host. I've learned a lot today. I'm glad to be part of this program. Yeah, I've been privileged, so I get to go back home like every year for the past 3 years. So every year I go back home. The last of 2021, I was in Uganda the whole of 2021, the whole year. And so I love Nigeria. To me, Nigeria is like my second home. It's my second home. So anytime, any day, I don't mind staying here. And I also believe that God has used Nigeria to groom me in so many amazing ways. Sometimes we run away from tough places, tough situations, but that's where God wants you to be, to help you, shape you, and make you who you are, who He wants you to be. So, yeah, I would probably go back home if Mr. Shan says something. If God leads you, if God is leading you to go back home, you would go back. But for me, in my case, I have come to learn a lot in filmmaking. And so that is one of the reasons why I came here. I've made a lot of networks. So I may not necessarily go and stay there, but then in terms of working, in terms of doing projects and all that, I'm open to that. I've been working towards that, writing films and all that, looking forward to sponsors so that we can partner Uganda and Nigeria. I look towards the bigger part of just the African, it's not just about Uganda, Nigeria, it's more about the African mindset, doing exploits for the African setting. So yeah, I don't mind going back home, but then if God wants me to be here this particular time, I'm here. For now, he has not spoken for me to move, so I'm okay here. I have met a lot of people here, families, people who have turned out to be like families. You know, someone asked a question: how do you now deal with home? Is it homesickness, or I can't remember. I can't rephrase the question again. But then sometimes you get homesick. You get homesick. You get lonely, and that is why it's so important for us to have people here that we can, you know, make out a family, be kind to people, let people see you for who you are. I'm telling you, when you're kind, you find out that God prepares like spaces, prepares people who can make you feel at home. And so for those people who are not privileged to travel back home, I think you should pray to God to bring good people around you. And once you do that, you will be in the right space. As for, is it, am I taken or something? Is it about being taken? I can't remember the question. But yeah, in terms of relationship, I've had a lot of my own bit of share. It can take us the whole day if we talk about relationships. I've not had a good experience in Nigeria when it comes to relationships. Again, Mrs. Mariam talked about it. It's not always easy, especially when it comes to culture, values. So you have to integrate all that together. And so sometimes it's not easy for foreigners to just go and then you meet a partner. I think it would have been easy if I was in Uganda. Maybe I would be married. But I'm still open. I'm open. I'm this kind of person who believes that your spouse can be anywhere, any place, any tribe, any nation. So if that happens, whether in Nigeria, whether I'm on a plane, whether you can, wherever it is, Sudan, I don't mind. I am open to that. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sister Kamigisha. And yeah, that brings us to a close. I want to thank every single one of our panelists for giving up your time, coming here on a weekend to share your perspective with us. We pray that God blesses you all, blesses your footsteps in wherever you call home now. And we pray that, as Nigeria, that, God makes Nigeria better. And we hope to see you in future MICA events. And to everyone in the audience, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your patience and allowing me to extend this session for about 40 minutes. I apologize if I took too much of your time. For those who are asking for recordings, I will share the YouTube link because we were live streaming on YouTube, so it should have been recorded there. And for maybe the last 2 minutes, does anyone have any parting words that they would like to share with us, or shall we just close? No, everyone good? Oh, is that hands up like you do have parting words? Okay, I think I'm going to pick Sister Muinat because I don't think she said much, and then let's see how briefly she does this, and then I'll pick on someone else depending on time. Sister Muinat, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I've learned a lot as well from everybody. I think first I want to just say, to answer the person who talked about feeling lonely, it's just to like lay emphasis on not isolating yourself. It's very important to not isolate yourself. Do as much as best as you can to reach out to people even before you relocate. Reach out, don't be shy to reach out to people, don't be shy to make friends. Yes, as much as it's good to have a Nigerian community, there's nothing wrong in also having a community with every other person because we are humans first. And relocation is it's an amazing journey, and it's also a journey where people learn a lot about what it is like in terms of this culture of every other person. And I feel the most important thing about relocation is knowing why you're relocating. If you know why you're relocating and you have a very good reason, not because someone else is doing it, it's going to kind of be like a very good setting stone for you in planning your relocation, in settling in finding a job, in everything you want to do. Start from knowing why you're relocating, and it helps with planning. It helps you to live a happy life. And one of the questions that you have in what you said as the question is, how can you be positive? The number one thing is find the good in everything. don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive, focus on the good, focus on whatever it is you're getting or you're benefiting wherever it is you are. And that's just what I want to say.
Thank you so much, Sister Marina. A lovely, positive way to bring the session to a close. And then I'll let Brother Shams, just a minute, and Brother Ganiu, just a minute.
Thank you very much. When we started, especially I think it was Brother Ganiu who said he doesn't want to talk about Japa or whatever. First of all, I have an opinion. I think Nigeria would be a greater place if half of Nigerians travel abroad, live abroad, work, earn a living, pay their taxes for 6 months, and then come back home. We will be a better place because you will learn a lot traveling abroad. No wonder the Quran tells us that travel across the land and learn. And that is very important for us. Secondly, when you are going on this Japa, please know that it has implication. Just last year, September 2022, a sheikh in Saudi was talking to me. He asked me, why are you raising your children in a Western country? According to research, after a few generations, your children will become non-Muslims. They will lose their values completely, will assimilate into a different culture. And I smiled because it is true, but that means I never, every single day, I make dua for my children and their unborn children and my progeny, that they will never lose their faith. Now, the point is this: when you are doing Japa, it has consequence. You are going to a land where your values will change, and your children's and their children's value will change. And you've got to start working hard on your children so that they can work hard on their children so that you don't lose out at the end. Finally, I think this is a very, very good program, and we need to have it more. Call it Micah International. Let everybody be coming. Let's have different topics. We have not even talked about parenting, and that's a big thing for me. And that's a very, very big thing. So I think we should have more of this session. Thank you very much, my brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Brother Shams. Wa alaikum salam. I'll speak to, management, as it were, about whether we can turn this into something more frequent. Brother Abdul Ghani, go ahead. And I would love to hear from the Onabanjos as well, maybe just parting shots from you. So Brother Abdul Ghani, you go ahead, and then we'll go to the Onabanjos. Yeah. A minute, please.
Is it Brother Abdul Onabanjo?
You, Brother Abdul. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. So what I just want to say is that it's based on knowledge, because the Prophet Muhammad said that knowledge is a lost property of a Muslim, and wherever it is, you must look for it. And he didn't say the knowledge in times of Islamic religion. He didn't say specific word. He just said knowledge. And what moved the world faster today, or where we are today, or where we're going tomorrow, is knowledge. Is when you know something and you be able to be relevant in any places you find yourself. So all I just want to say is that you have to be very, very, you have to put yourself in a position that just forget the fact that, okay, you are coming from different place, or you are coming from Nigeria, or you are in another place. One of the things that you have to look into is the fact that you find yourself in a new place, and you need to start looking for something that will make you to be successful in that environment. And once you keep looking for that knowledge, then you definitely get what you want. And another thing I want to say is that depression is very real. Please, if you find yourself in a situation that you can't get information, or some people are just talking to you anyhow, the only thing you need to do, please try to keep trying to find someone you can talk to. It might be difficult. I know a lot of people will want to do something, especially some students when they come to this country. Depression is very real. Please just find a kind of place to talk to people and get yourself what you want, and try and keep trying. Thank you. And I really like said, I really like this kind of program. If you can keep doing it all the time, then I think it brings us together and be able to from one area or the other, we can be able to share our experience. And even if someone is traveling, we can get information on us over here. And if you are planning to move, there's a lot of things that many of us here can share. And even someone who is here needs information as well, needs some things wherever you are going to. So please, maybe this kind of program can bring us together and maybe we can share a lot of things with ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Abdulghani. Apologies for the confusion previously. I meant to say the Ajibolas should kindly speak afterward. I'm really sorry. So can I have the Ajibolas say something, a word or two before we close?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I just want to say this, for those that would like to, maybe you want to move to another country and you've been running a business, you want to start something, you don't know how to go about it, I can actually share 1 or 2 experiences and guide you to start something. So you can just send me maybe a message or a DM or whatever.
That would be great. Thank you so much. Yes, I think someone actually asked that question. Have you shared like your LinkedIn or an email?
My WhatsApp. Someone sent me a message already on
fantastic.
Instagram.
Okay, alhamdulillah, that's exactly the kind of community we want to create. And I mean it this time now. I'm going to let everyone go. Thank you again for your time. It's just been a very interesting conversation. So I'm sorry to have kept you. And I will speak to sort of, the MICA team beyond to see how we can have more of these conversations, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. Sister Kamigisha, thank you so much for joining. We hope that Nigeria continues to be your home. And I wish everyone all the best in all their endeavors. May God bless you all and your family. Thank you all so much. And to our amazing audience, thank you for staying with us. They said Japa that I should come back to Nigeria. So
we all have the intention to.
Inshallah, may Allah make it easy. Thank you all so much. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Oh yeah, I was supposed to share the YouTube link. Let me.
I did already, don't worry.
Okay, and to our amazing audience, thank you for staying with us. Right,
thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank
Bye.
you.
Alida,
Alaikum salam.
take care of yourself.
I will. Masalam.
Assalam. Thank you, Farida.
Assalamu alaikum.
See you as well. Alaikum salam. Thank you, Ma. Bye. Have a good week.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Someone nuts, please message me.
Please send me what I can, where I'll message you, please.
I sent my number 204.
Okay.
No, don't do that. Please.
Yeah, Farida,
Just give me your Instagram. Your Instagram.
Message.
Yeah, private message. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's when I private message before